to everyone. I hope you are doing well today, and if not, I hope this video and any of my other videos could provide some sort of positivity in your life. Today, I wish to cover a tutorial on how to draw hands, at least the way I draw hands. Someone recently asked me to create this video, so here I'm finally providing. I can only hope that this will shed some light to some people that reasonably struggle with how to draw hands, because they are very complicated anatomies. Even when you have simple curves, there are just these different nuances, different details, different proportions that can change depending on the angle and the perspective that you draw. Now, the principles I will be covering today, I am focusing on the versatility that this can also be used for when drawing with paper and pencil, because I usually draw with paper and pencil first, but for the sake of digital artists and traditional artists alike, I am going to be just using my iPad with the intentions of drawing as if I was using a pencil and paper. So without further ado, I shall begin. I do have my Procreate keyboard right here that I will use for undoing, but you can easily use an eraser or something. The principle is pretty much the same. So I'm going to pick a color that would best suit the occasion. I'm just going to use a dark gray. I'm going to go to my drawing. I think I will use Oberon, but at a very small setting. So here's a photo of here's a photo of my own hand. I've posed my hand in such a way that it could allow some complexities of the fingers, and so I'm going to show you how I will draw this. So the best thing to start with when it comes to any form of anatomy drawing is to start with simple shapes. So you can see here that the hand has this sort of pentagonal shape. This is going to be the wrist right here. Here will be the leading to the thumb, and this will be the rest of the hand, like this. So the wrist is going to be right here, and you're going to want to draw all the way down like this. So, as you can see, I'm sort of breaking down the shape, the overall shape, into lots of little shapes based on what I see. Now I'm also going to draw first this section of my finger. I'm going to have a knuckle right about here. I'm going to take note of my knuckle. And sometimes it's okay to, later on, if you feel like it's not quite right, you are absolutely free to erase and try again. So see, right now the finger looks a little too big, so what I'm going to do is erase it and try again. There's nothing wrong with that. Because we're going off of based of what we see. Just breaking it down to simple shapes. Simple shapes are your best friend when it comes to anatomy, because that can also allow for a stylized drawing. And so here's my thumb. Now, as you can see, the thumb is broken down into three sections. You have this part which leads into the palm, and then you have this section that leads to the first knuckle, and that would be right about here. That would be the nail bed, and you want a little bump right about there. Now that we have the first foremost fingers open, or down on the sketch, we would go on to the next two fingers. Now this one is further back, so you won't see it as much. I'm going to just basically draw what I see. Hang on. I just realized that my thumbnail goes above the knuckle. So what I'm gonna do is erase this and try again. Have another section of thumb and make sure that my thumbnail goes above the knuckle, like that. We can always fix this later. Next step is to go to the next finger, and they're not as much finger like the first phalange. Like each section of the finger is called a phalange. So we're on right now on the top, right here on the first phalange, and we would want to make sure that it is in tandem with the other knuckles. Like here we have one knuckle, the others would basically be in an arch like this. So the other finger would start here. And just basically sketch out what you see here. The other knuckle would be around here on the other side of the hand. And so we're basically just mapping out where they are. And then the last finger would be down here. The pinky would be the furthest one below. And here you have the basic sketch of the hand. So for the sake of people who are doing digital art, I'm going to go to another layer and we're going to refine this shape. I am going to choose a different brush, and I think I will use peppermint. I think I'll use peppermint just for the heck of it. Now if you were drawing this with paper and pencil, this layer that we've already just finished, the base sketch, would be very, very light. You would want to draw it very light. And now, if this were still paper, you would want to start drawing the next layer with a darker or harder value, but not all the way. So at this point, you would want to start thinking about the muscle groups. Like, not all fingers are perfectly straight. For the sake of simplicity, you can absolutely do it straight, like this. But there are some times, even with the simplicity, you'd want places where it looks like there's some muscle. For example, I'm going to put a little tuck right there where the skin would fold, and you would go like this. Just going to look at my hand there. And there you have the first finger. Now I am wearing a glove, so I will be adding that to the detail. But there will be some extensions right here leading into the thumb. So as we can see, this glove is actually the very same glove I'm wearing right now. Leads down like this. And if you have any mistakes, like I feel like that little curve right there is not quite what I wanted, but I am going to leave it because we want to have those little mistakes to give this a more organic feel. Based on my photo right here, we can see that this part is quite straight. There is a bit of a curve inward, and so I am going to mimic it like that. And then we have the bump of the knuckle, and it leads straight into the finger, like this. Now I have some fairly long nails in the photo, so I'm going to just give there a suggestion. I'm not going to draw the whole nail, because sometimes just the simple little suggestion is all you need. Then there is the thumb pad, the little base right here. And then you would have slight muscle right there that leads into the palm. Now, of course, as time goes by, you can absolutely practice and see if there's anything that you, any mistakes that you feel like there are actually quite what they would call happy accidents, where it just looks good, even though it's not quite that's okay. If it just looks good, that's all you need. Now, when you fold your fingers, you get these folds underneath like this, and they would just be very simple curves. They don't need to be complicated. And just refine the sketch a little at a time. And this is basically what I would do if I were drawing on a piece of paper. Now, of course, if we want to add gloves, we would be adding them a little over the pre-existing sketch that we have, because what we have here is basically the arm itself. The gloves would be over it, because as you can see, that right there is my actual wrist. It's right here. But if we have all of these wrinkles, they kind of make my wrist look a little thicker, so we would want to emulate that if we're drawing clothing on top. I'm not too worried about getting all of the wrinkles accurate, just as long as we sort of mimic the lifelikeness to it. That's all you really need. Don't need to make things too complicated. Add some wrinkles and divots and curves. And as you practice over time, it'll look more and more lifelike, and that's all you need. There's some curves and twists and loops. There you go. Now, as you can tell, I have more of a bump, a little curve right in my top finger here, my top knuckle, but I left it absent on this finger because I kind of like the looks of this. It may look a little stiff, but it oddly looks more elegant, and I personally like it that way. I'm not worried about getting it perfectly accurate. Now I'm going to add in my long nails. Nails that I work really hard to maintain. I'm going to erase just a little bit here. Now, here and here, the fingers are turned more towards the viewer. So what we would want to do is have this. Basically, you would want the finger to end here and curve back over, and then you would want the nail to come poking out a little bit. Now sometimes it can be a little confusing on how to do it, but just test your limits out and see what looks best. Because as you can see, nails curve, and you'd want to maintain that curve of the nail in your sketches. Looking back at this one looks a little too weird. I'm going to try this. Curve it down a little more. There you go. And sometimes we erase and try again, and erase and try again. It's just normal. And there is the finished hand. I hope that this helps a lot. If you ever want to add any like little details like this, where the knuckles wrinkle, have a little curve right here to emphasize the shape of the bone, That is quite alright. You can add those, because no one's perfect. We all have these wrinkles in our hands, and they just make the hand just a little more lifelike. I feel like there's some places that could use some improvement, but again, practice makes perfect. When I am doing digital art, I have the ability to do something like this, where I can go to liquify and do some pushing, some shifting, small changes like this to kind of help get a better idea of what I want this to look like. And there you have it. That's how I draw hands. I hope that this tutorial has helped you a lot, and if not, there will be plenty of other tutorials that you can look up on YouTube. Perhaps I could be one of the many that would help you on your journey in improving your skills. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good and blessed day. See you next time.